Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We are live in downtown Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. 3-hour banger lined up today. Nick Whalen, Tim Benz, Warren Sharp, the guest today. Tons of reaction to what we watched yesterday. New numbers in the National Football League, updated division, yes/no playoff odds, conferences, awards markets to get into. We'll spend a lot of time talking about the numbers that we have for Week 16. And Paulie, when this season is all said and done in a couple of months and the story is written, it's going to be like a WTF masterpiece. It feels like it's been just a completely wonky season, almost full season to date. And yesterday was like the icing on the cake with two injuries like that. One of the best defensive players in the league with Micah Parsons going down to the torn ACL. And then you have the king, basically Mahomes, ending his season, and who knows what their future looks like beyond this season as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it sucks. I hate it. I hate all these injuries in the league.
Well, that was the story of the season. They're driving, and he throws the costly interception, and they lost 7 times this year as a favorite. They were minus $4 before the season to make the playoffs. And just all the injuries, bad turnovers. You thought they were, as I called you after the Washington game, Mike Tirico got me good, which he got the line from several people in the organization that when they we were getting hot and beat Detroit and Washington, the line was, we feel a lot better about this team right now than we did last year when we were 15-2 in the 1 seed. And then it just loss after loss after loss, and they were taking money
every week.
And then we'll see if he's back for the start of the season. You're right, but the 10-year streak comes to an end. Now it's Minshew, and certainly you're right about a wild season where the hottest teams, the Broncos, Jacksonville, and Houston was a long shot to make the playoffs a month ago. They're on fire, and you've said it many times, and I can't kill you, that you don't trust Lawrence, and I don't trust Lawrence, and he's playing great football. And good Bo or bad Bo? And good Bo showed up, and he was fantastic, and they're looking at the 1 seed.
How about that? The same day, Trevor Lawrence and Bo Nix probably played their best 2 games as pros.
Yes.
Tip my cap to them, man. I'm not a fan at all of Trevor Lawrence, but he was great yesterday. And Bo Nix, look, I don't want to completely just sit here and tell you the guy can't play. It's only 2 years we're talking about in the league. But that was something special yesterday. And that game was really, really good until it turned into just an absolute cluster, for Green Bay with all those injuries spearheaded there by Micah Parsons going down. And, as a result here with Mahomes going down now as well, I don't want to overreact, Paulie. It feels a little bit like Durant with the Achilles against the Raptors in the NBA Finals. Like you knew that was probably the beginning of the end for the Warriors dynasty.
Yeah.
I don't want to, that's
fair.
Because who knows, is he going to come back next year around this time? Like when does he make his appearance next year? Halloween?
Yeah.
Week 1?
Well, the offensive line had all their issues, but they shouldn't struggle like this offensively. They have too many talented players.
They've done a great job drafting guys.
Yeah, and we know it's a war of attrition, but you don't want to see it decided this way. And Green Bay now, they could lose out. They could miss the playoffs. You take your best defensive player, one of the best players in the league, and then the Kraft injury. Watson gets hurt.
Tom, Jenkins.
Yeah, I know.
Williams, I could go on and on.
Won't end. Dobbs has been in and out of the lineup. What's happened to Reed? Killer. What's going on? And just when Love was playing great ball and they had the 9-point lead, it's like, let's throw against the reigning defensive player of the year. What could go wrong? Interception. Yep. And then Watson's hurt and has to go to the hospital.
Yeah, no good. He made some very questionable throws yesterday. Again, taking it up a notch here against that defense. And here is what I said before the show. The icing on the cake, I think, for Green Bay. Again, who knows when Parsons is going to come back? And what's he like when he comes back playing that position? He's irreplaceable as the edge guy there. They gave up 2 first-round picks. They don't have first-round picks moving forward.
Yep.
That's just, it's a double whammy.
You're right.
To the Packers.
This was big.
Oh, but also Mahomes had been hit. This is Bill Barnwell, great breakdown today, ESPN.com. 153 times this year. Only one quarterback topped that, Justin Herbert. There's a common denominator there. Both offensive lines have been compromised. And so that was also a career high through 14 games. And you go back the prior 6 seasons, not including last year because he was hit a lot as well. The prior 6 seasons, Mahomes, as a starter, took an average of 117.6 hits in his first 14 games each year. He blew by that number the last 2 years. Now, is that the reason why I caught up with him? Who knows? But he was also scrambling more this year. So maybe that, taking off a little bit more, those hits, and it wore on him, and then popped yesterday.
No rushing attack, and no one can get open.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it really held the ball a long time yesterday. And nothing, and good defense by the Chargers, but nothing's worked for him the last couple of weeks.
Can you?
Right? And that stretch was ridiculous. Mahomes, Parsons, and then Adams. And we got the showdown Thursday, and I don't think there's any chance he can play.
Probably not.
With the hammy. And he might miss a couple games. So it was a rough 5-10 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah, you're not kidding. So with Parsons in the lineup, the Packers have allowed the 10th lowest QBR to opposing quarterbacks. Across 109 dropbacks without him this season, the Packers fell to 22nd in the same metric. So he is absolutely going to be missed. That's a small sample size. I get that. But when you go from 10th overall to 22nd in a metric like that, that's obviously a big deal. And yeah, to your point, are they going to, well, I don't think they're going to lose out. I think they're going to get in the playoffs. But now they go from a true Super Bowl contender to, well, are they going to win one game? It's going to be completely dependent upon who their opponent's going to be in the first round.
Yeah, they can still do it. They have a ton of guys and a ton of talent. And you saw what Jacobs did. He was phenomenal yesterday. I mean, who scores like that on Denver going up and down the field? They did a bad job defensively, but this is the life in the NFC. They're $1.05 to win the division. Yet they're the 7th seed, and they could miss out entirely. Yeah. So that's a huge game Saturday, and LaFleur's owned the Bears. Green Bay has owned the Bears, and then you got that tough game against Baltimore too. But it's just
I got news for you.
You're right. The 7th seed can do it. Whatever happens Thursday, Seattle might win Thursday. I got serious doubts about this team.
Oh, you have to.
Because if I contain JSN, then what? You can't run the ball. You got a turnover-prone quarterback. Kupp can't move. And they're not, I like Shaheed, but they're not getting involved enough.
Yeah, great defense, obviously, and special teams. We saw it again yesterday with Myers. Hello. 6 from way downtown. Bang. Good to go. By the way, he's another guy, right, to watch every week.
Yeah, he's on an 8-1 overrun.
Yeah.
He's not Fairbairn 24-3, but
this all comes down to on third. By the way, I'll call my shot right now. Packers are not winning at Minnesota week 18. Vikings win that game. I'll go even one more. Vikings win out and go over their win total of 8.5.
Come on. At
Giants, Lions, Packers.
Well,
bookmark this right now. Vikings win out and go over 8.5 with the win total.
Are you coming in hot? That's
you
strong?
have to. Come on, let's go.
He's improved.
Scorched earth, buddy.
He's improved, yeah.
I love the defense. I love the defense, and they were really good again last night. That's 3 straight awesome performances by that side of the ball.
Yeah. There could be some vicious win total beats here, by the way.
In terms of Thursday night, yeah, you're not kidding. In terms of Thursday night, this comes down to, well, look, I'm going to bet, I'm speaking now, I'll make a case for both sides. I'm going to bet the Rams because clearly I trust their quarterback more. And if you're betting the Seahawks, you have to have a lot of faith in that guy outplaying Matthew Stafford and the entire team. Like you're going to say, okay, that was a fluke what happened the first time around. And I think what Darnold did the first meeting will not happen again. And I think what happened to Stafford the first meeting will happen one more time. Like that's kind of a reach to me. Stafford was not great. He threw for 130 yards against this defense.
Right. And yeah, down a key weapon. But I know, I see you and I raise you. Sam Darnold in a big game facing pressure and heat and all the turnovers. And this is what he's done throughout his career.
Well, look at the way this is going to be a big rig showdown here with Puka Nacua and JSN.
Yes.
Right? The same game parlays that might be popping like it's hot in that contest.
That's right. And I love it. You know where it's going. Good luck.
Oh, yeah.
You still can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on fire, both guys, and what Stafford did. Most passing and Puka most receiving, where Adams goes down and he's still making it rain out there all over the Lions.
How about that? That has to be the game of the year, is it not? The 1 seed is on the line.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, good observation earlier today from Jonathan Von Tobel on Money Moves. Say what you want about Sammy D. This is the 2nd consecutive year he's playing for all the marbles late in the year. Like the 1 seed is on the line. Happened last year. Final Sunday night game of the regular season. The winner moved to 15-2 and was going to be the 1 seed in the NFC. He didn't play well.
Yeah.
And he didn't play well the first time here against the Rams.
Well, he's been in a good situation, too.
Yeah,
with
true.
2 solid coaches as well. Yeah. A lot on the line, especially with the awards and especially what's going on at the top of the AFC and who can get in. I mean, I still think Baltimore's the best team in the AFC when they're healthy and they don't play with their food. When they're healthy and they don't do stupid stuff, like how bad, and I hate to kill you here, But how bad is the Thanksgiving night loss now?
Oh, no, I get
The
it.
Bengals are atrocious. How did you lose that game?
Yeah.
And you might miss the playoffs as a result, and then you followed it up with that mess against Pittsburgh with the bad luck and then the silly turnovers. When they play clean football and you run the ball and don't abandon the rushing attack, good luck, because the defense is filthy right now.
Are they better than Denver with Bo Nix from yesterday? I don't know if we're going to get that Bo Nix.
Home field's big, but I know. But this defense is playing phenomenal, and you see what Green Bay was able to do moving it on them, and even Dart had a lot of success moving it on them as well. So right. I just think they have so many weapons. If they can just get Lamar healthy and don't turn the ball over, that is going to be a big-time scary team in that 4 seed.
Yeah. Are they – oh, man, I'm trying
but they got to get there. I don't know if they're going to – I don't know. They're $1.25 to win the division. Tonight's huge. Yeah. You can't ask for better trends tonight. I mean, come on. Miami's lost 13 in a row under 40 degrees, and Pittsburgh's 22-1 at home Monday night since 92.
I'd like to sit here and tell you, Paulie, in theory, this should be the year finally it opened up for Josh Allen and the Bills. And I kind of hope it does because I'd love to see them make a Super Bowl here. But that defense...
You can't do this every week.
I no, you can't.
Can't fall behind. He's going to pull a miracle, pull a rabbit out of his backside, and this is just not going to happen.
Put it this way, Josh Allen and James Cook have to show up and deliver every single week.
Yeah, the run defense is so bad, especially if Vrabel would actually give Henderson some carries. Yeah. You see what can happen. All right, we got a playoff game Friday. Alabama and Oklahoma. Get our college football betting guide. Full previews of every first-round game, the brackets, the best bets, the bowl picks across the network. Get the guide for just $14.99. VSiN.com/subscribe. They did a great job. And the AI-powered prop tools as well. Every best bet, every host, every guest. VSiN.com/CFP.
We are in mid-December, and I would say 6 out of the 8 divisions are still up for grabs.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
More reaction yesterday in the National Football League here. A look at Monday Night Football props and a couple NBA props as well as we head out to the Progressive Guest Line. Nick Whalen joins the program with RotoWire. He lives in Wisconsin, very close to a lot of people who obviously love the Green Bay Packers. Overall, that was not just the Parsons injury, but I mean, the whole day yesterday was as bad as it gets, like in many years for this organization. And moving forward, no draft picks because of the trade with Parsons, all those injuries. How long is that going to linger? What's your level overall of concern with the team moving forward? And assuming they make the playoffs, do you think they can win a game?
Yeah, a lot to, kind of take out of that loss yesterday to Denver. And, it really felt to me like the entire game, the entire mood of the Packers swung on that interception targeting Christian Watson. Great play by Pat Surtain. But, the Packers had built a 2-score lead at that point. They had just forced a 3-and-out, a rare 3-and-out for that defense yesterday. And then, the interception coupled with Watson going down, and then 10 minutes of real time later, Micah Parsons is out. I mean, we've seen the Packers unravel before. We had the classic Matt LaFleur like rage challenge, shortly after, where it's like the team kind of takes on his personality at times. And I felt like it was just a total unraveling on both sides of the ball. But the bigger picture here is that, that was a toss-up game regardless against Denver. It wouldn't have shocked anybody if they lost that game and came out healthy. But what is the ceiling of the Packers going forward? Without Micah Parsons and compounding that with the loss of Devontae Wyatt, the loss of Tucker Kraft, I mean, those are probably 3 of your 5 or 6 most impactful players on the entire roster. I hate to say it. I think the Super Bowl ceiling is probably gone for the Green Bay Packers. I can't see that team beating the LA Rams, as currently constructed. I think it becomes almost a toss-up game against any of these other teams in the NFC. So could they win a playoff game? They could, depending on the matchup. But it's not something that I would feel great about. Whereas, I think coming into this week, regardless of the result of the Denver game, if they just came out relatively healthy, I think there would be a case to be made that they would be the top contender to the Rams in the NFC, especially given what we saw from Seattle yesterday.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can you elaborate on that and expand with the big game Thursday? It's just like, it's a great story, and I love the coach, but if I can limit JSN, then who beats me?
That's the thing. And the Seattle defense has been so dominant, and they've had these cake matchups against, bad quarterbacks that it has kind of covered up the fact that this offense is not been humming in the same way that it was in the middle of the season. I still don't really love what I'm seeing from Sam Darnold week to week. There are very few quarterbacks who I trust less than Sam Darnold when they're under pressure.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's kind of JSN or bust for this offense. I think in general, we like Kenneth Walker. We like Zach Charbonnet. I don't think the production week to week matches up with the reputation of those two players. And I know they got Shaheed more involved this week. They got Cooper Kupp more involved. That was more so out of necessity. I don't think that was the plan coming into the game because they couldn't run on the Colts, because they were playing from behind for a good chunk of the game. They ended up throwing it with higher volume than they expected. And with Seattle, I mean, you can make the case that defense could win them any game. It almost won them the Rams game earlier this season with a bunch of turnovers. I don't know that I'm going to trust Sam Darnold going on the road against some of these defenses, specifically the Rams, that are going to be in the NFC playoffs. So I like the Seattle team, but they do still feel a piece short. The Shaheed addition, that's been great. It's impacted mostly special teams at this point, as opposed to the actual offense itself. Cooper Kupp, more of a name than a producer at this point. Right. So could I see Seattle making the NFC title game? Sure. It's going to take some dominant defensive performances, but the Rams to me are just far and away the class of the NFC right now.
Okay, what do you make of tonight's game then? Obviously, it's a big one. Every game for Pittsburgh moving forward is. They could have gone without Baltimore winning yesterday, but alas, here we are. They're laying 3 minus 115 here at Circa. Total is 42.5. What have you bet so far for player props?
So in terms of player props, I'm looking at Kenneth Gainwell tonight, over 23.5 receiving yards. First and foremost, Miami has given up over 7 yards per target to running backs this season. They give up the second highest catch rate to the position. So there are some advantages there for the Pittsburgh offense. Gainwell's gone over this number in 4 of his last 5, 5 of his last 6. So I've jumped on this early, and then we get the news, of course, that Jaylen Warren is now questionable due to an illness. So we're going to see that receiving yards number rise. It's only up 1 yard right now at DraftKings. I do think Warren probably plays through the illness. It's pretty rare for NFL players to miss a game due to being sick, but I think it's fair to wonder how effective he's going to be. And even when Warren is at full strength, you still see Kenneth Gainwell, getting about a 50% snap share most weeks. So the Miami run defense has started to buckle down over these last couple of weeks. And I think I don't necessarily trust Pittsburgh to move the ball down the field in chunks like they did a week ago. That is just not what this offense has been really at all this season. So looking to the running backs in the passing game. And then I'm looking at Pat Freiermuth, over 1.5 receptions. Both of these defenses, very bad against the tight end position. Freiermuth's gone over this number in 6 of his last 8. Dolphins give up about 6.5 receptions per game to tight ends. And again, the Steelers' options are just so limited right now at wide receiver. I don't expect them to hit big plays. They did just elevate Marquez Valdes-Scantling. We have to keep that in mind. I think that's kind of a white flag as far as that wide receiver room goes. And I know you're always spinning the wheel with these Pittsburgh tight ends, but they have kind of phased out Jonnu Smith of late. So feel a little bit better about Freiermuth tonight.
Isn't it a big Achane game? It's cold. 2 always struggles. A lot of dump offs to Achane. A couple of viewers were making the case 12-1 most receiving yards for Achane, but also what he can do on the ground tonight.
I could absolutely see that. I mean, he has carried the Dolphins offense, for the last month plus when they've kind of turned things around. The question is, how much do we trust Tua? And, maybe there's a difference between Tua throwing down the field versus Tua just handing it off to Achane 22 times and dumping it off to him 7 or 8 times. I mean, I'm all for piling on Devon Achane tonight, but I worry about the trends. We've seen Tua in this spot over and over. It has never once gone well. We're looking at like 12 degrees in Pittsburgh tonight at kickoff. I'm sure you guys have gone through the numbers, but in sub 40 degree weather, let alone 12 degree weather, Tua's 0-5 straight up. He's 1-4 against the spread. They're losing those games by almost 20 points per game. He's just bad in primetime overall. He's 2-8 straight up in his last 10 primetime games. So I worry a little bit about the overall Tua implosion. And as you guys are aware, I mean, they're not winning these games of late because of Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, he's completing like 13 passes per game. He's barely throwing for 150 yards. He's got 3 touchdowns over the last 4 games.
Great breakdown. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Nick Whalen, he's with RotoWire, and he's on the Progressive Guest Line. We only have 5 games tonight in the NBA. It's a sneaky good card. Detroit plays Boston. Toronto gets Miami. Houston is at Denver. That is phenomenal tonight, that matchup. Definitely going to have that on a TV with Monday Night Football. What do you like in terms of player props overall in any of those 5 games?
Yeah, really fun slate. The non-NBA Cup slates over the last few nights in the NBA have not been great. A lot of bad team on bad team, good team versus bad team, but some really intriguing games tonight. I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard over 9.5 rebounds plus assists for the Clips tonight. They're going up against Memphis. James Harden is questionable to play in this game with a calf injury. I think the NBA is more cautious than ever when it comes to these calf injuries. So would not be surprised if we see Harden ruled out. So a little more playmaking for Kawhi Leonard. Just went up against this Memphis team 10 days ago, went well over. And Memphis now without their best rebounder in Zach Edey. So I think a pretty friendly number there on Kawhi. And then one of my other props tonight for the Detroit Pistons, this has been, one of the more reliable props you can play this season. Duncan Robinson over 2.5 made threes. He's gone over this number in 17 of 23 games on the year. Goes up against the Boston Celtics. They are allowing the most threes in the NBA over the last 5 games. Opponents taking about 45.5 3-point attempts per game. Robinson himself has taken at least 6 threes now in 14 straight, averaging about 8.5 attempts per game in that span. So looking at Kawhi and looking at Duncan Robinson in the NBA tonight.
Great breakdown with all that. Follow Nick on X. He's at Whalen on Twitter or X, but it's not an L, it's a 1. And he is with RotoWire. Again, Nick, great stuff as always. Thanks so much for the time. Best of luck tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you go.
I saw one article, 40 degrees, under 40 degrees, regular season playoffs, Tua 1 touchdown, 12 picks.
I saw that too. Yep.
Oh, brutal. Prime time, cold weather, 13 losses in a row for this organization in cold weather. And Pittsburgh doesn't lose at home on Monday Night Football. I mean, these are incredible numbers tonight and trends with the game.
I am with you, though. This, in theory, should be a big game for Achane.
Oh, huge. The rushing attempts over and Tua passing attempts under.
Okay.
And then, not to mention and then the dump offs he's going to get. About the stuff at our line or behind the line of scrimmage and make it easy on Tua as well.
Would you go under longest completion for Tua?
I like that. That's not bad, too.
Yeah. Achane is quietly having a fantastic season. And I think there's an angle here where I know he got hurt last week, but if that doesn't happen again, like he's going to carry some of these fantasy leagues and potentially win them for you.
Big. And then like Nick said, you got the big news where Warren wakes up with the flu. And he's questionable now with the illness.
Yep. By the way, he likes Gainwell of 23.5. 23.5 still out there with the receiving yards. The rushing yards is high 20s in the game. So I'm betting 23.5 right now as we speak. Yep, right there, minus 112.
All right.
23.5. I also have been betting Duncan Robinson a lot this year, so anytime it's 2.5. It was plus money a lot this season. Obviously, books adjust to that, but that's incredible. Teams are averaging 45.5 threes a game against the Celtics going back. That's, wow. Up next, Paul's going to detail a lot of the action from the weekend with win some, lose some, including a 55-1 ticket that cashed and a 70-1 that popped as well. That's next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board here on a Monday. Thanks for watching on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. We'll talk to Tim Benz here coming up in a little bit. He is with the Tribune Review Sports in Pittsburgh, also Fox Sports Pittsburgh. Get his thoughts on tonight's game. Right now, Paulie, across the board, mostly threes out there on Pittsburgh. However, there are some 3.5s. Obviously, that's going to come with various juice. And the total is pretty much painted at 42.5 tonight. You bet Steelers money line right away last week. Are you still, you're pretty confident here tonight? You like them?
Feel good. Yep. And anti-Tua in the elements as well. Yep. No doubt about it. And it's a great game for props, especially receiving, because if he doesn't get DK involved early, I think you can make the case for a lot of guys that could have the most receiving yards in this game.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we head out to the Progressive guest line right now. Tim Benz on the program. Tribune Review Sports in Pittsburgh, also Fox Sports Pittsburgh. Follow him on X. He's at Tim Benz PGH. Tim, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. We know that you're very busy covering the game tonight. How are they doing this again this year? You look at it, their metrics are not great. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, this has to be it for him. And yet here they are with a chance to obviously make the playoffs / win the division.
Yeah, I guess. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, there's a lot of talk coming into the season, not only from the players, but from Mike Tomlin himself about how this is going to be a historic defense and a lot of conjecture about how much better they had gotten, particularly at the quarterback position from last year with Fields and Russell Wilson. And honestly, it has felt and looked very similar to what it was a year ago on both sides of the ball. So, yeah, I mean, you could look at it and say that the roster is overachieving because it's in first place, but we were told in advance that this is going to be a better roster and be able to keep up with a Ravens team that at the time was predicted to be like a 12-13 win team in a lot of cases. And the good fortune for the Steelers, what's making it look a lot better right now than just, above 500 in first place, is the fact that Baltimore and Cincinnati have struggled mightily too.
Do you have an update on Watt?
Not beyond what was known already, which is he's out for tonight. So that was kind of stated in advance. And beyond tonight, I'm not quite sure what that's going to be like for the Detroit game. I mean, like we're here at minimum 7 to 10 days. So, I mean, I would still be really cloudy on his availability for the Detroit game next week. And then hopefully keep your fingers crossed for what might happen for the two divisional games after that against Cleveland and Baltimore. But so little is known about what actually happened and how significant or severe it was. I mean, you got the Watt family largely downplaying the long-term effects in their statements, but they've been the most vocal with details to this point, and the team has been really mum.
So at this point of his career, it's no longer prime TJ Watt we're talking about. But for this game tonight, what does that mean for Miami's offense? How can they exploit it, and what do you think will happen?
It's a good point because, on the one hand, you think about Watt and all he does in the pass rush department, but it hasn't, as you just amplified, been a TJ Watt kind of season with his sack total. I've been a little disappointed in how little they've used Nick Herbig the last two games. He's only gotten a snap share of about 39% in one and 33% in the other. We're constantly told by the Steelers about how much better he's gotten as a run defender. Well, they just played two run-heavy teams, and they didn't seem to want to use him very much. He's going to have to play a ton. Jack Sawyer, the rookie from Ohio State, is going to have to play a ton. Watt has been really good in backside pursuits, scraping down the line. I thought he did a couple of really highlight reel performances, fighting through some traffic and getting Derrick Henry down behind the line of scrimmage early in that game to keep him quiet for a while. I don't know that Herbig has that in his bag of tricks. I think Highsmith does. So from that standpoint, I think you can look at him to stand out again as he did last week. But it'll be largely on those two and then Sawyer after that.
You expect Warren to play after he woke up with the flu and is questionable?
Still haven't figured that part out. Haven't seen too many people on the field yet at this point. I'm going down in just a little bit. But, that was news to everybody. They did add him. There was an NFL Network report earlier that suggested he was going to get some fluids and was hopeful to play, but no update beyond that. So, for your guys' purposes, I might want to stay away from those props on that specific player.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you look at Kenneth Gainwell then? We had a guest on.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because they like him anyway. They've been using him a ton anyway. I don't think they have to be talked into it. And not only has he been good when called upon with the weather conditions and all, the snow and the ice and everything else, I don't think it's going to be a huge day for a lot of people down the field, especially with what their offense is preconceived anyway. So I would think that's a good play. That'd be smart to go overs on him.
How about the passing attack getting better and what happened against Baltimore with MVS and also Thielen helping out, and if we can see some of those guys tonight?
They certainly got more time than I think some people expected last week. Even both of them being active at the same time was cloudy going into last week. I think if you want to consider overs on them, or what yardage totals, receptions, if it's very low, then fine. I think the bigger thing about their presence is what they do for Metcalf. That's the way that Rodgers explained it, insofar as like they're running the right routes and they're getting to their spots, and that's pulling the defense away and making life easier on DK. So I don't know if they're going to get the ball pumped to them a ton, but I think Rodgers just likes having them out there because he thinks they have veteran savvy enough to make the offense predictable.
How about the tight ends? How is that going to be deployed tonight, you think, with the offensive scheme? Because I know Jonnu Smith, Paul, his record to the under so far this year?
It's almost, I think, every game but one. Yeah.
I would be – which one was the over?
Good question.
Yeah, I would have to go back. You're testing my memory on that one. But, I would think that it's been a real point of frustration because this is, in theory, a very tight end-oriented offense. And the guy that's been surprising to the over a bunch has been Washington. but he's been
Yes.
slowed with a concussion. So I'm not sure how many snaps he'll get. I think he was, in fact, activated in advance of the week, or, came off the concussion report. So he could and should be out there. But, maybe they get Smith involved, a little token here or there, because he is playing against his former team. I'm not quite sure what your guys' number is on him, but that might be one interesting to play in terms of reception or yards. And, the big thing about it is the Steelers have just been loath to use the middle of the field still this year. We thought that might change with Rodgers at the helm, but they've still done a lot of deep shots down the sidelines to DK and then the flats to the running backs. And I don't know how much changes given the circumstances out there with the cold and it's not snowing right now, but there is still snow on the ground, and it is frigid here tonight.
I will say this. I'm looking at the game log right now. It's a great question. I mean, his season high is 28 yards. Are you kidding me? That was the game against the Bengals, so maybe that was the one?
Yeah, I think he did have one big catch against Cincinnati. That sounds right. Now that you say that, it's jogging my memory. And, the Bengals are terrible against the tight end. That's Freiermuth usually thrives against the Bengals. His career highs almost year in, year out. If you go back and look at his game logger against Cincinnati. So that does make sense.
Do you like him tonight in this incredible stat that they've only lost once on Monday night since 92 at home, and Miami can't win in the elements?
Yeah, I think that those two things will dovetail. I do have them. The biggest concern is, what do the Steelers do against Miami's rush attack? If Miami should win, I think that's because they'll be able to run the ball, because the Steelers have not been good at stopping the run. The difference is the Steelers, when they don't play against a really mobile quarterback and can just key on the running back, they've actually been okay. It's teams that can do both that have given them real problems in the rush department. And, with the field maybe being slippery, with it being as cold as it is out there, I don't know if this is a speed back kind of game for HN. Maybe he proves me wrong, but I think the presumption that he's going to have a huge game might be flawed. He's the biggest threat for sure, but to put the house on him just because of what the Steelers' track record is stopping the run and what the Miami track record is of running the football might be a little presumptuous, given how the Steelers have handled kind of one-dimensional running teams and what the field conditions might be like for faster backs.
Tim Benz, our guest, Fox Sports Pittsburgh, Steelers pregame host as well. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. Follow him on X at Tim Benz PGH. Doesn't it feel to you, after tonight for the Steelers, at Detroit, at Cleveland, and Baltimore, the Ravens get the Patriots, Green Bay, and then, of course, that game, doesn't it feel to you like this division is going to come down to that Week 18 matchup?
Yes, it does. I didn't think that would be the case the start of the year, because I thought Baltimore might be in firm enough control, forecasting that far out, because I thought there was a game or two differential between these teams in favor of the Ravens. However, with the way things are right now, that's probably the way it goes. I know the Lions are struggling. I still think that's going to be a tough putt for Pittsburgh to go in there with their defensive deficiencies this year and beat Detroit. So they better win this one. I'm not sure about the schedule the rest of the way for Baltimore before they face Pittsburgh. And by the way, I mean, if you're looking down the road, just kind of remember this number when it comes up in a couple of weeks when everybody says, oh, the Steelers will go to Cleveland and kill them. Well, the Steelers have won one game there in 7 years. So it's not exactly the lock that everybody presumes that it is.
Great call. Tim, great spot. Thanks so much for popping on the show tonight, and enjoy the game.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
it. Tim Benz, Breakfast with Benz, Fox Sports Pittsburgh, also Tribune Review Sports as well.
Dolphins 160 yards rushing the last 4 games. See if Achane goes off. Where is it? Aaron Rodgers and Metcalf praise Thielen and MVS for their professionalism and getting the details right to help open up the passing game last week.
I think he's right. Those two guys, I think, they're going to help out Metcalf if nothing else.
And then a guy who covers the team tonight with Steelers Report, Steelers News Blog, expects Thielen to be more involved in the passing game tonight. Although I don't see any props on him yet. I'm looking at DK. I'll look at Caesars as well. He's 35-1 here, first touchdown.
I like this tweet from Matthew. We're on X, by the way, at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Paulie Howard. How about a Jalen Wright ladder tonight? 20, 25, 30, 40 yards. 40 yards is 5-1. 20 yards is even plus money.
Yeah, he doesn't like Ollie Gordon.
Yeah, he had a big game last week.
Right, the big ticket cashed at anytime touchdown.
Major movement with NFL awards yesterday. Some of these markets are so tight that we're seeing big swings based on every win or loss. And I got to tell you, just got to throw your hands up at some of these awards and say, I have no idea how this is going to play out.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll get some plays for tonight. Monday Night Football. Steelers hosting the Dolphins. Also react more here to Week 15 National Football League as Warren Sharp joins the program. Follow him on X at Sharp Football. Website is sharp.football. Warren, good afternoon. Love talking to you every single week. Let's get your reaction to what we watched yesterday. I was a little bitter watching the Bengals with that performance as a guy who was on Baltimore Thanksgiving night in Survivor, and that team wiped me out, and then they got blanked yesterday. How the hell does that happen? What was your reaction to that?
Well, I couldn't believe, because one of the things I liked in that game was Derrick Henry's rushing attempts. I thought the Ravens were going to control the game, and he was going to have a lot of attempts. And it wasn't a game that I was focused on because there was a lot of other games on, but I was watching it out of the corner of my eye. And I never really saw Derrick Henry have a lot of rushing attempts. I'm wondering what the heck is happening in this game. And lo and behold, it's because the Cincinnati Bengals had nearly a 2-to-1 time of possession advantage. They had the ball for over 39 minutes. The Ravens had the ball for barely 20 minutes in this game. And yet the Cincinnati Bengals did not score a single point in the game. I went back and looked since 2000, so 25 years worth of, it actually technically 26, but 25 sounds better. The Cincinnati Bengals, out of 356 teams to control the football for at least 39 minutes, the Cincinnati Bengals were one of only 43 teams to lose the game, one of only 10 teams to make a red zone trip just one time in the game, and they were the only team in the last 26 years to not score a single point when you had the ball for at least 39 minutes. So this is just a disaster. And actually, the funny part about this one was that the one trip that the Cincinnati Bengals made into the Ravens red zone resulted in 7 points for the Baltimore Ravens, because it was a 95-yard pick six that was returned to the house. So, you know, the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow just blamed it on the fact that he played poorly yesterday. There's just so much blame to go around that organization, that coaching staff. So it's definitely one of the, put a bag on your head, just end the season type deals for the Cincinnati Bengals fans. This season can't end fast enough.
What changes would you make in Kansas City as the 10-year playoff streak is over?
Yeah, look, a lot of people calling for Andy Reid's head or Andy Reid to make some moves here. I think the key is you can't just be surrounded by yes men. And at times, Andy Reid definitely likes to staff the coaching staff with people that he's very familiar with, that aren't going to challenge what he's looking to do. And it's sometimes, like, Andy's one of the most brilliant offensive minds in NFL history. So who am I to tell him what to do? But from an outsider's perspective, I think you need a little bit more fresh blood and a little bit more forward thinking into that organization. Some people talking about how this receiving core is terrible. I can look around the NFL and point out a lot more receiving cores that are a lot worse than this. Patrick Mahomes, yes, I'm watching that game. I had the under in the game, so I'm happy that this was happening. But why in the world is Patrick Mahomes just holding the ball forever behind a terrible offensive line? Where are all the plays to get rid of the ball quickly out of his hand? The running is not effective. Where are all the different types of route concepts that could take advantage of some of the weaknesses of that secondary of the Chargers? I just wasn't seeing very much of it at all. And then Patrick Mahomes just kept holding it. Obviously, at the end, he gets taken down from behind a little bit, and that's what hyperextends his leg during that tackle. And he's now tearing his ACL. He's not going to be back for a while. So I just think that they need to look for some more voices outside that organization from an offensive coordinator type perspective. I know he's not going to call every single play, but helping design the script of the game, helping design the game strategies that you're going to use. I just think that the Kansas City Chiefs, the last month and a half, I was very perplexed by a lot of their strategies that they brought into games and a lot of their pinning back to run heavy nature. And I just didn't understand a lot of what they were doing. I don't think Andy's obviously the root of everything. It starts with him because he's in charge, but they could use a little bit more new blood in that organization.
Okay. Great job by you. DraftKings does not offer yards, but they have longest reception on Thielen. How do you want to play it tonight?
So sometimes that is something that's interesting to pay attention to. When you look at some of the longest markets, often they post those earlier than some of just the general yardage markets. It depends on what you're looking to bet. But in this particular case, Adam Thielen, longest reception under, His yards aren't posted at DraftKings, but his yards are 14.5 over at MGM. However, you can get longest reception under 10.5 at both MGM and DraftKings and a couple other books. It's minus 145 to the under. But Adam Thielen, what is he going to catch one pass? Maybe he catches a pass. I don't know. Is it likely to be a down the field target? Probably not, given the nature of how Aaron Rodgers conducts this offense. As a result, I think under 10.5 is probably a decent look there on Adam Thielen, just playing the nature that they probably are not going to need to throw the ball a ton, nor are they going to want to throw the ball a ton, particularly down the field in this game. Although last week they came out and surprised us with all those deep bombs to DK Metcalf, you got to figure out that the Miami Dolphins defense is now going to be prepared for what they just saw and have some adjustments defensively to try to take some of those away.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Warren Sharp, he's on the Progressive Guest Line. So we just talked to Tim Benz a half an hour ago. He's covered the Steelers in Pittsburgh for a long, long time. We asked him about, Jaylen Warren's now questionable for the game with an illness. Is he going to play? He's like, I have no idea at this point. Nobody knows. They're not really saying too much about him right now. It is an illness, so he might go out there. It's a flu, obviously. But in terms of finding a way to exploit that then, have you pivoted here to Kenneth Gainwell at all?
I did. From a receiving perspective, he's their primary receiving back. Now, Jaylen Warren does get in the mix. Last week, we did bet Jaylen Warren over 2.5 receptions. He hit that. But I do think that Kenneth Gainwell in this spot, given the fact that they're probably going to want to run Jaylen Warren between the tackles a little bit more. But when they need to pass the football, they're going to look to do so. And check downs, because the Miami Dolphins have a high blitz rate. Aaron Rodgers might be trying to get the ball out of his hands relatively quickly. I think the tight ends are in play here. The running back, specifically Kenneth Gainwell, is in play here as well for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I looked at the yardage market. I saw the number in the low 20s, like 23.5 or so, and I liked that. But I don't really have a strong take on that one. I just think that that's going to be an outlet for Aaron Rodgers, especially because I think people don't realize the Miami Dolphins run defense has really turned a corner. They are not allowing nearly as much efficiency on the ground, nor as much explosiveness on the ground as they were to start the season. Teams have to throw the ball a little bit more on the Miami Dolphins in order to have some success. You're still going to want to incorporate the running backs a touch. So that's where some of these tight ends and running back targets might come into play here. We know Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to ask him twice to twist his arm to throw the football short underneath to a tight end or a running back. So that's where Gainwell might get some catches. He just needs to turn those yards after the catch up and get us to like 24, 25 yards.
Okay, one more prop here. Tua does not have a great track record, obviously, in cold weather conditions, which is going to be pretty cold tonight in Pittsburgh. So, and by the way, the numbers are bad as well. The team record, terrible, but his numbers are also, they go along with that. So his passing yards prop tonight is 195.5 right now, the way it looks at DK. You want to go under that?
I mean, he's been going under this. First of all, he's thrown the ball 26 times or fewer in 6 of his last 7 games. I mean, they are trying to lean more into the run. And when they do throw the football, it's going to probably be underneath and short. And here's why. Tua averages the number 1 fastest time to throw in the NFL. And the Pittsburgh Steelers force opposing quarterbacks to use the number 1 fastest time to throw in the NFL of all defenses because of the way that they play and the pressure and the strategies that they utilize on that side of the football. So even if it's not Tua, quarterbacks are throwing on average the fastest in the NFL against this defense. And now you put Tua in, who leads all quarterbacks in fastest time to throw. It's going to be a lot of that underneath stuff if they are throwing the football, in my opinion. The reason I didn't go with attempts or completions here is because I think completions, he'll probably have an okay completion rate if he is throwing short. His attempts depends on game state. If they do fall too far behind and they can't run it enough, then they might have to lean into that. But I think the yardage with all of the underneath passing, it's going to take a lot of completions and a lot of attempts in order for him to get there. And they just simply are not trying to do that. They're trying to establish that ground game, especially on the road in Pittsburgh in the cold. I don't think they necessarily want Tua dropping back a lot. They don't want him dropping back a lot at home in Miami in the warmth anymore, let alone here in these circumstances. So game state driven, game state dependent, but that's the way I would look to play Tua if you're looking to bet against his efficiency and his performance in cold weather. It's not necessarily the attempts or the yards, or sorry, not just the attempts or completions, but more so the yards, just because of how quickly he's going to have to get rid of that football.
Very good. Warren, great analysis as always. Thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the game tonight. Best of luck.
Good luck, guys.
There you go.
You
Again,
too.
Warren Sharp, Progressive Guest Line on X at Sharp Football. Website is also sharp.football or sharpfootballanalysis.com. Under 195.5 there. What'd you make of the Thielen breakdown as well?
Very good. Excellent.
Stuff's going to be short.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Would
A
you
lot of guys. Jonnu Smith under again. Washington over. I think if he goes to the tight end, it'll be Freiermuth and Washington. And maybe a little MVS.
I'm going to say, how about like laddering some of these reception props?
I don't mind that with Washington and maybe DK. Yeah.
All right. It's the holiday season. I'm glass half full guy. Lots of good in the good, the bad, and the ugly coming up next.